Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to take a look here at Atom, help understand, best practice, big picture, the whole 9 yards there. And furthermore, obviously, if you're new to the channel, just keep in mind I'm not a financial advisor. Love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. I truly love teaching people to become better traders, so I did create a website with opportunities for you to become a better trader there. So I have a trading academy, community, and signal group. Check that out, link in the description below. In fact, this is a request from one of my current community members. Thank you so much, Alexandru, for your continued support. So one thing to kind of understand here with Atom is it's doing pretty awesome compared to most other coins. I think it's up, 16% today. I mean, if you exclude Luna, I think it's the best coin today here so far for progress. Actually, a Raven might be a little bit better, but generally speaking, Atom's looking very, very good, very solid here. And I want to kind of help you understand, why, and kind of go from there, right? So what we want to look at is, a handful of things here. What we're going to look at too, of course, is previous resistance levels, see if we've broken through those. If you kind of look, just to kind of start here, you can see the previous resistance, whereas the price action kind of went up and down, wavered above and below, but you can see we have a pretty solid close above that. And today, of course, is that continuation. It could be the third white soldier, depending on how you look at it. But again, we're getting rejected tentatively off the 200-day set moving average. So the 200 is working as a resistance there. Of course, that makes perfect sense. If we take a look at RSI, we're just barely breaching 70. So hypothetically, if we were to close above the 200 and 70 on the RSI, that would put us in a really prime position to essentially have us continue higher. Allowing that to work as a support level and continue for the the progression to the upside. Again, 70 on the RSI works as a strong resistance, and so does the 200 on the simple moving average. So we've got those things we kind of got to recognize are factors here that are absolutely going to kind of come into play eventually. So for the moment, definitely looking positive, but that could be a point of contention. So right here at about $16.15, coincidentally right where the price action's at, $16 even if you were to round down, is exactly where that resistance level is going to stack up here for us. If we take a look at the MACD, of course, we have a lot of MACD convergences based on Bitcoin being up 10% in the last 24 hours. So it makes sense as to why Atom is doing very well, but it was doing well prior to that. You got to recognize that, if you compare this with Bitcoin, I mean, let's go ahead and take a quick look. You compare this with Bitcoin, there's a significant difference here. All right, so here, this might make it a little easier. So that's Bitcoin today, of course, nice 10%. And of course, Atom slowly progressing higher, consistently making higher lows. All right, so the fact that it's consistently making higher lows when Bitcoin is, at least was for the most part, on the struggle bus, making lower lows and lower highs recently, there's absolutely a lot of reasons why Atom is doing very well. Okay, so again, the pairing it has with Bitcoin is less, and that's positive. We like to see that. All right, so that's generally what we're looking at there. 4-hour time frame. Let's go ahead and see where we're at here. We're up above all moving averages. Big surprise. That's pretty standard. Up over 70 on the RSI. This could very well work as a support level though. So if you see the price action come down, kind of just go sideways, the RSI will naturally work itself out, and then the next leg up could occur. It's very common practice for that to happen in bullish trends. Okay, so again, 70 on the RSI, once broken through, can become a support level moving forward. So it really just kind of reiterates the fact that there was a strong resistance level in this area here, and now that we've broken through it, it's working as a potential support. Okay, again, I say potential because this isn't definitely a guarantee. Bitcoin corrects itself by 10% tomorrow, which again, that's just the world we live in. It could possibly happen. Then Atom's going to correct itself too, but it will likely continue to make higher lows. That's the thing about it right now. It's doing really well. And we got to recognize this previous resistance level here, right at about $12.35, will effectively work as a support level too. So if the price action comes down and bounces, we're still making higher lows. We're still in good shape, and that's positive. That's what we want to look for. So those are confirmation clues that we want to kind of pay attention to. Let's take a look at Sequential, and we can see here this is good and bad. Good in the sense that we have continuations. We're seeing a lot of 9s here, which is fine. But if you see 2 9s in a row, the likelihood of a pullback is greater. In other words, a third 9 is pretty low probability unless you have extreme consolidation. So unless you have a consolidation pattern like this, and we kind of just say we duplicate that up here, then we're probably not going to see that happen. In other words, the price action should and likely could pull back based on that sentiment and the fact that we're extremely overextended. So I mean, you think about this, in the last 36 hours, the price action hit a 9, right? And we're already a good 16 hours into that next push. That's too much of a good thing, right? Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And hypothetically, the price action could well, plateau, I would say at the very least, hitting that rejection point at 70 in the RSI and the 1 day, 200-day S simple moving average. So that's an important thing to recognize, right? So I think it's, at best, we get a price consolidation sideways, and then of course, it kind of gives us that little pennant type of pattern, and the price action continues higher from there. That would be perfect. Another good scenario would be for the price action again to kind of retrace, come back down to the low 12s, and then to effectively bounce from there. So I'm not saying you should short, but I'm telling you that it's extremely overextended, and a slight pullback would make sense, at least right now. Again, that's just kind of hypothetically where it's at right now. So at the 1 hour, let's see what we got here. Excuse me. We're going to look at the Ichimoku cloud, and we're going to identify that we are above the 3 out of 3 here. This is perfect. This is exactly what you want to see. In other words, again, not a reason to short at all, because we still are free and clear of the price action, conversion lines above the baseline, and we're well over the cloud. So again, hypothetically, the price action goes sideways, comes down, bounce off the cloud, perfect entry point. If the price action comes down and passes below the cloud, that would be potential cause for concern, okay? All right, sorry. Getting over a cold here, my voice tends to disappear on me. Last thing we want to take a look at here is TD Sequential on the hourly, because again, we identified in the 4 hour that we've got 2 nines in a row plus overtime. That's extreme overextension. And then that's backed up here, of course, when we can see the price action came down to a 9. We had this extreme detriment of about 1150. It's a rough estimate. Recovered from there, hit 1 9, followed it up with an 8, and then another 9. So that's effectively 3 nines in a row, even though there's a decent consolidation period here with a nice little type of ascending wedge pattern. It still broke to the upside and it's still continuing higher. So that tells me that there's a strong likelihood of Atom retracing in the near future. It may not be significant, but it should at least, I would say, at the very least, come back down to where the cloud is at the highest point. So somewhere in the range of 1520 to 1550. So again, not telling you to short, but it would hypothetically be a good time to consider that right at 1620 down to about 1550, roughly. Again, that would be just something that I would consider doing. Let's take a quick look at the last thing here too with the Bollinger Bands. We can see we're well outside that standard deviation. Is it backed up the same thing here? Because Bollinger Bands are good, right? But if you don't have the volume to back it up, then it really just doesn't really help much at all. In this case, though, you got to keep in mind, hypothetically, if there was a pullback, it may not be super severe because of the fact we have enough volume to back it up. So while Bollinger Bands is a good thing to use, if you want to use it in conjunction with volume weighted average price, you'd probably be a lot better off based on the simple fact that it gives us better understandings of where we're at. In other words, we have this support level here right at about 1570. So if the price were to retrace, it's very common for it to bounce off that volume weighted average price. What that's doing, that's just taking the last 24 hours of volume and expressing it as a price. And right now the price action should be at 1670 where it's higher, right? But again, it's not overextended by any stretch because they have enough volume to back it up. Positive, right? So even though this overextension to the upside is extreme and the likelihood of a pullback is great, I don't think we're going to see a significant pullback. Again, this is all pending Bitcoin doesn't take a crap in the next 24 to 48 hours. That fear, uncertainty, and doubt subsides. We get more volume coming away from Bitcoin going into altcoins like Atom. It's going to be able to maintain itself. So I'd say, just kind of to summarize here, when you look at the volume weighted average price, I think 1565 is roughly where the price action is at right there. That would be the lowest point at which the price action should retrace, and that's pretty close and concurrent with the Ichimoku cloud on the 1 hour. So if we see that here, we see that price action, they're both almost at the exact same level. So again, I think right there at about 1565 is probably the area in which we could see the price retrace if it were to, but likely consolidate at that level. And that would be awesome if it did. So again, mostly good stuff here from Adam. I like what I see. I think it would be overzealous to consider taking a long position right now just based on how overextended it is. I would love to wait for a pullback. I'd recommend waiting for a pullback if you're going to long. But there's no doubt that it's here to stay and it's doing very well and it should continue higher. I mean, it has a history of doing very, very well for itself. And it's coming up on certain areas where we might have some resistance levels, maybe around $20. Looks like $20 even is a pretty darn close approximate there. So between 16 and 20, you should hypothetically have plenty of long available, right? So again, just something to consider. That's awesome stuff here from Adam. I'd love to see it. So well done, Cosmos. All right. So hey, thank you so much for joining me here. And again, thanks again. Big shout out to my current community members for just being awesome parts of my life and helping me help you. It's really nice to be able to give back and essentially help you get some profits in this industry. Whether or not it's bull market or bear market, we can all still thrive, right? That being said, appreciate you greatly. If you want to become a community member, over 200 active members presently, CryptoCache.tech is the website, link in the description below. I look forward to working with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.